So first question goes that what actually got you into metal music at first?
I was into rock at a very young age. My father especially listened to a lot of the classic rock from the 60s and 70s, even 50s, starting with Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, stuff like that. But then, of course, the Beatles, the Stones, Steppenwolf, Creedence, were you know, and the Who were mainstays in my house. And then he introduced Kiss to me when I was really young, and that's when I first started kind of pretending to perform. It was me
Okay.
and my two cousins, Aaron and Jessica. They were brother and sister, and we would put on fake concerts for our parents and aunts and uncles, and just 3 and 4 year olds just playing. And I love 2000 Man by Kiss. That was their Stones cover. Ace Frehley sang that one, and that's still a favorite of mine to this day. But then fast forward till I was about 9, and my best friend in elementary school had an older brother that's in junior high school that he showed us metal. And the first real metal I heard was Iron Maiden, Run to the Hills. And I'd already liked rock. When I heard that riff, yeah, perfect shirt for this story. And I was like, what is this? What is this riff? This is awesome. And then I dove headfirst into that at that age.
So was it like Iron Maiden that got you to form your like first metal bands and got you to become a metal vocalist, or is that like totally different story?
Vocals are a different story. So I liked Maiden, but I was looking for something heavier, and I found Anthrax. And I found Metallica, Anthrax, Megadeth were my three favorite at that time. And I just really loved Anthrax, but I was still looking for something heavier. And I think what really got me into vocals was when I found Testament. And for my 12th birthday, my father got me a guitar, like a starter series. I think it was called K Starter Series, a really cheap guitar with a small Gorilla amp, just a practice amp. And I just didn't put the time into the guitar. Like I could play a couple power chords, that was it. So this isn't all that fun. And then my father would do DJing occasionally at weddings or parties, and he had a mic, so I just decided to plug the mic in one day, and I started singing along to the practice what you preach record. And I was like, holy shit, I can kind of do this. I was 12 years old. I'm like, this is really fun. And then I just would do that for a couple of years, and then I stumbled upon a band practice of friends when I was 14. I think it was 14 or 15, and their singer just wasn't cutting it. He left practice early, and I picked up the mic, and I started singing, and they asked me to join the band shortly after.
So what kind of stuff were you playing around that time? Was it like completely covers, or were you like trying to create your own songs, or
The it's funny. The first song I ever sang into a mic at a band rehearsal was they were playing "Sad but True," and
okay.
I sang it, and I guess I gripped the mic so hard that it was one of those cheap mics with the volume, and the volume was shut off, but they could still hear me. Like, oh, this
Okay.
guy's got pipes. And so we were on the subway a day or two later, and we're going into the city. And the guitar player Chuck asked me, he's like, "Hey, do you want to sing for our band?" It's like, "Yeah, let's do this." And yeah, that was done a long time ago. But it was metal. It was if you listen to it, I mean, you could call it early days metalcore. It's because we all those bands at that time were coming up, like Overcast was early '90s, Converge early '90s. And plus we liked thrash metal, and we had heard Earth Crisis by that time, and so that was kind of early days. This is like 94, 93, 94, and so it was early days metalcore, I guess.
So obviously you that like or the band that you are now in plays like a lot heavier music than, for example, Metallica does.
Mhm.
So at what point did the screaming came to the picture, and did it take like a long time to figure out the right technique for the screaming?
um so in my first band, the band was called Rind, Rynd. We did a mix of covers, and the covers were generally lighter songs, but I really liked Chuck Billy and Phil Anselmo and vocals, and so at that time I think I was trying to do my best to mimic both of them, and kind of mix the style. But we covered White Zombie, so I did my best Rob Zombie impression. So I kind of got, we did a Slayer song, Dead Skin Mask. So I was kind of getting my vocals, just trying to learn what to do. And we even covered Nirvana as well, because they're pretty simple songs to play. So just kind of cutting our teeth So I was just trying all these different styles, but I really leaned into the heavy. I really liked the heavy style. So I was pretty aggressive as vocalist from the first band on.
So were you losing your voice like all the times when you were mimicking the vocalist, and did it take like long time to figure out your own style to do things?
I jumped into vocal lessons and chorus in high school right away because I knew I liked it. So I wanted to do something with it. I was playing sports and I was like, yeah, I have time after school before sports start. Let's do the chorus. And I do the chorus, the voice lessons. And so I learned how to maintain my voice. I didn't start losing my voice until we started to really tour with Unearth. Because my first two bands were just regional bands. We do weekends here and there or one-offs. But when Unearth first started a tour, I would start to lose my voice. So I took more lessons elsewhere. And not until I met Melissa Cross in the mid 2000s. I'm not sure if you've heard of her, but she's great. Ever since I started working with her, I've never lost my voice, knock on wood. But it was one time we were in Germany on tour. We're doing 19 shows in a row. This is 2006. And I think we're on show 14 or 15. We were in Hamburg and I completely lost my voice. I called her. I was like, hey, Melissa, I can't sing. I can't make this scream sound at all. And so she's like, you can. She actually had me do a test. And it was basically if I could do a noise, then yes, I can scream. That means my vocal cords aren't damaged, that I'm just maybe dehydrated and my vocal cords are kind of stuck because I'm not warmed up properly or warmed down. So for the next hour plus, she walked me through a bunch of warm-ups, stretches, hums, breathing techniques. And I took the stage and I was fine. And the rest of the tour was fine. And ever since then, if I ever feel myself getting strained or dried out, I rehydrate and I do all these exercises and I just maintain them on tour. And I'll even do stuff like it's second nature now. So I'll be humming throughout the day when I'm on tour because it keeps your voice warm. And you hum after the set because you warm down that way. So just little techniques I've picked up over the years that help me maintain it.
I was actually going to ask you next about like the first proper European tour or US tour that you did with Unearth, that what kind of like learning experience it was for you, and was it like difficult task to sing like night after night?
It was. So yeah, like I said, the early days were difficult. The first tour beyond 4 days was January 2001. Went to Florida and back from Boston. And I lost my voice towards the end of that. Got sick. So that was the reason. Then fast forward about a year and a half, and then we were on tour. I think doing the same run. We're going to Florida and back, and I lost my voice completely from being sick. And the only time in our career, people had to sing for me. We played in New Jersey, and Rachel from Indecision sang, as well as our guitar player at the time, Ken. And the crowd sang. And then the next day, and I was too sick. I was in the van. I couldn't even get out. The last show of the tour was in Buffalo. And at that time, that was our first time in Buffalo, New York. So people didn't really know our songs yet. So Ken sang the whole set. And I remember getting out of the van, walking with my hood on, sitting in the back of the club, watching Ken sing. And yeah, he was going for it, but I was like, this is never going to happen again. I'm never getting sick and losing my voice again because this is terrible. So it's not what Unearth is. Killer guitar player though, clean vocalist. But anyway, it was the last time I've ever missed a show and people sang for me.
So how much have your like warm-up routines changed from that tour to now on? Do you nowadays have a specific routine that you follow before each show, or?
Yeah, I do all the exercises that I've learned through, from different vocal instructors over the years, but mostly Melissa Cross's. It's a lot of stretching, a lot of breathing, a lot of drinking water. If you have to drink Gatorade or Powerade or Pedialyte, that helps. Don't yell. If you're in a smoky, crowded bar, let's just try to stay away from those places.
That's the worst.
It is the worst because if you're screaming late at night in a smoky bar, it's you're tearing up your throat, getting the toxins in and the smoke, and you're straining your voice by speaking loudly. So we like dive bars, and we can kind of talk a little bit more quiet to each other, put on the music, and it's a decent level.
I actually, sorry to interrupt you, but the first ever episode I did for the series was with Corpse Grinder. and he explained the first ever European tour that they did. And he was wondering why he lost his voice because he was singing like 2 hours of black metal karaoke in the bus after the show each night.
We would do that too, and like I would, we'd party, and I'd raise my voice and like, party screams like, yeah, like that's stupid. You can't do that. Then also you have to avoid certain foods. Like if you can get acid reflux, then you have to cut out certain, acidic foods like orange juice or red wine or pizza, stuff like that can get into your vocal cords, and it can limit how much they vibrate. So if you have acid reflux, which I do, so I have to limit what I can eat on the road, and even at home too. I make sure that I'm careful with it.
So are there like some drinks that you want to have before the show that you feel that they help somehow you?
It's almost always water. And for years we were doing whiskey and bourbon. And most recently we've I shouldn't say that recently. It's been years now, but we mostly drink silver tequila, like a good tequila. It can't be like a cheap tequila. That seems to help as well. So
that's weird because I was just interviewing Spencer from Periphery yesterday, and he said exactly the same, that he takes like one whiskey sip before he goes on stage.
Yeah, it helps open up. It burns away mucus or whatever's in there. It relaxes you, so you're not straining. You don't want to get hammered before you play because then it's kind of a mess. But if you have a couple of drinks, it helps.
So do you have a specific way to hold the microphone when you perform?
Yep. I have a few different ways. I do hold it just right on the actual handle, the actual microphone base. But I do use my thumb and like different cupping techniques for different sounds. So a lot of times I'll have the thumb over it if there's a lot of popping noises at certain songs. If I'm going for a big like for like, let's say a breakdown or a solo, I'll do like a grunt. I'll cup the mic sometimes to give that extra punch to it, and it's natural for me now. I've been doing it so long, but it's definitely part of the technique.
So your technicians are like very happy when you're copying the mic.
No, my sound guys hate it, but the guy we have in Europe, Danilo, he's from Serbia. He loves it. So he's learned to play with my voice in the front of house. He's my favorite to work with, man. He really dials in the vocal sound.
So what kind of like memories do you have when it comes to like the first recordings that you did with Unearth? How was it like vocal wise? Were you sort of ready to put on like recordings and record vocals on an album?
No. My first two bands I recorded, and at the time I was younger, my voice was a little higher. So it's naturally higher. So the band I had before Unearth was called Second Division, and it was more hardcore. It was a higher pitch. And when Unearth formed, when I heard the music, the band was called .04, and they kicked out the singer, and they wanted a new band. They approached me. I heard the song. I was like, this is good. It's metal. This is exactly what I want to play. I'm more a fan of this. And when we did the first recording, the songs where I could be a little higher worked better, but then we had a couple songs where it was lower, and a song called Lefty. And I think if you listen to that recording, I sound like shit. I sound terrible because I don't have the gutturals yet. They're not there. And I really, really focused on learning that. But then, fast forward a couple of years, our first full length, The Stings of Conscience, I developed some gutturals. I was more comfortable playing more metallic music. And then with every record from there on out, I just really improved as a metal vocalist, and I feel like I have a lot of range, a lot of flavors now, and I'm still trying to get better. If you listen to the new record, there's more and more flavors than I've ever had vocally, and I'm really trying to improve and add more dynamic to vocals of Unearth.
So you have now released 7 albums, so obviously the 8th one is coming. But are there like some specific albums that you could point out from the discography that you have felt that you have like made a massive step forward as a vocalist?
Yeah, I think when we put out The Oncoming Storm, I think that's when I really found my sound. I started to develop it on Stings of Conscience, first full length, and I improved a bit. A year later, we did an EP called Endless. And I was really really finding it. And so by Beyond From Your Storm, I really found it. Um, and I feel like I was fighting to be a better vocalist after that. Like I really like the performance on in the Eyes of Fire, but it's a raw performance. So there was no overdubs or anything. That was I would just do 3 or 4 lines at a time, and Terry Date and I would then just pick the best 3 or 4 lines. I wouldn't punch. It was supposed to feel like a live record. So I really liked the performance on that record. But then fast forward to Extinctions, and that's when I feel like I finally found those gutturals that I was really looking for. Because I always had a low register, and I feel like I could pull it off live, but I never really captured it in the studio like I envisioned. So on Extinctions, 2018, I felt like I really found something there. Um, so with that, I just ran with that since I had that muscle control now. And I really think I made the biggest leap forward on this newest record.
So are there like some specific tracks that you feel are like more difficult to perform than the rest? Or are there like some tracks that you wouldn't even want to try performing live?
No, I think anything that I sing on record, I can do live. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go into the studio and do something that we can't do live. Let's say the song takes off. We don't use tracks, so I can't even record it and fake it because it's not. We enjoy being a live band, and I know that there's a lot to be said about bands who add tracks, and it creates a different experience. That's not part of this. Our desire is just to be a live band, and what you see, what you hear is what we're actually doing.
So obviously, The Wretched and the Ruins will be released on May 5th through Century Media, and it's your 8th album. So are there like some specific things with the vocals that you tried out, like new things on this upcoming album?
Yes, there's actually cleans in this record. I haven't really sang much in the band's career. Our EP Endless, I sang on the Endless song, the song Endless, but by the time we re-recorded it for the full length in 2004, Ken had taken it over. So I just kind of put that aside as I wanted to concentrate on heavy vocals. It wasn't until Extinctions where I sang on One with the Sun, and I was like, all right, I'm feeling this again. I started playing guitar when my daughter was born in 2013, acoustic guitar. So I started to really enjoy being a singer too. And so this record, there's cleans on there. But what we've always wanted to avoid was have, what metalcore is to us is aggressive metal. It's the blend of thrash and the hardcore influences. And there's other subgenres in there as well, but those are the two main influences for what metalcore is to us. What it eventually became was more of a melodic metal with a puppy chorus. Not for us. That's what we wanted to avoid. And so I wanted to make, put in cleans tastefully. So if you hear in our latest single, Mother Betrayal, the cleans are at the very start, and it's a very baritone, droney type clean. It's not a pop chorus. And the song, then it kicks in on one of our heaviest songs we've ever written. And so I'm just trying to add it tastefully and not to add a pop element, just to add texture and a different dynamic to it.
So do you feel that the clean vocals and screaming and growling go hand in hand? If you are becoming a better vocalist with the clean singing, you also improve on the other side.
Yeah, and I do think playing acoustic guitar and singing has helped me improve my range as a screamer as well. Because now I feel like I have more control of the whole instrument, and so that's why you'll hear highs in this new record that I've never hit before. And it's our 8th record, it's our 25th year, and it feels good to be able to continue to improve and really push my own instrument as we go on.
So was that also your goal on the album, that you try to like present yourself as diverse as possible?
Yes, I actually told our producer Will Putney, I said, I want this to be the best metallic hardcore metalcore performance that I can possibly do. I don't want it to be, okay, well, that was great, but I think you could have done a little better. I just wanted it to be flawless. I want it to be, man, you hit every part the way you imagined it. You didn't skimp out on a high or a low, or you didn't skip that clean because you weren't feeling good about it. Like I just went for it, and it took us a long time. I had multiple sessions with Will, and I have a little studio now in my attic and with my interface and mic. So I was practicing and just doing my best to be a better vocalist.
So when you joined Unearth, what were your parents' reactions towards their son becoming a metal vocalist?
My parents were always very supportive. My first show that I ever had was in my parents' backyard when I was 15 years old.
Okay.
And so, like I said, my dad's a rocker. My mom was very supportive. And you know, they're getting older now, but they'll still come to my shows once in a while if we come to Massachusetts. Yeah, they've been very supportive the whole time.
So any kind of advice that you would like to give to a young metal vocalist who is just about to start their journey? Anything that pops up into your mind?
Yeah, I mean, if you love it, just picture what you want to sound like, and just go for it. And really, so I think you know within what your limits are, and just really practice. Be a student of the craft, just like any great guitar player, drummer, or any skill. You have to really put your time into it. And it's, as a singer, it's easy to get lazy because if you get a certain amount of talent and you perform it well, sure, cool, that's good, but that can get boring to fans after a while. It can even be boring to you. So you don't want to rest in your laurels. Just continue to try to be better. And I think adding that, I think people hear that, they see it, it just makes it more enjoyable for you as well.
Thanks a lot, Trevor, for this interview.
But thank you. Good time.